You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, please introduce today's guest.
Hey, I'm Ivan Zach, and I'm excited to introduce our guest today, Marisa Hoskins. She is a two-time founder in the pet industry and the founder of Paws Abroad, a technology platform that builds the infrastructure for international pet travel. After successfully scaling and exiting a fresh pet food brand, Marisa focused on solving the logistical and compliance problems that pet owners and vet clinics encounter with international travel requirements. Paws Abroad standardizes country and airline regulations into structured workflows. Marisa is preparing to integrate these systems into clinic operations to reduce administrative burden and improve compliance. She is also the author of the children's book, The Adventure of Harley and Kalinda Go to Thailand, books inspired by her own international move with her two rescue dogs. Marisa, thank you for finding the time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
So I'm going to start with an unusual question and off the points that we had. What fueled your next round of addiction called entrepreneurship? And once you exit, everybody thinks, well, don't you want to retire? And then you always find entrepreneurs in the next startup.
Oh, 100%. I know. I tell everyone I was not planning to start another pet company, but my dogs are my inspiration for my two companies. And it was actually kind of a full circle moment. So I'll keep it brief about my past company, but I adopted my two dogs in Hong Kong. This was back in 2018. And actually, my first foray into international pet travel was back in 2018, bringing them back to Canada. And for context, it was a horrible experience. And at the time, I vowed to never do it again, in all honesty. And I paid a company thousands of dollars. I didn't even consider doing it myself. Just the thought was, too stressful. Brought them back. And yeah, it was just not a good experience. It was extremely stressful and overwhelming. My first company I started, one of my dogs was a breeder dog at a puppy mill before I adopted her. And she had several different health problems. And after working with a Toronto veterinarian to transition her to a whole foods diet and saw this incredible transformation with her health, I started my first company, which was a direct-to-consumer human-grade dog food company. And to give context on her, she is still alive and healthy, which is the happy ending to this. So that was back in 2018. Sold that company in 2022 and was working for the group that acquired us. And to your point, I had, no desire to start another company at the time, but these things kind of find you as an entrepreneur, problems that you just have to solve. And after my exit, I was really burnt out and I was just thinking about, I'd really love to just live by the beach for a year but I can't travel abroad again with the dogs. It was too stressful. But then finally, that little voice that said, it's been 7 years. I'm sure the industry has changed. And then I was shocked to find out it had not. So again, I didn't even consider solving this problem myself. I reached out to a transportation company and they gave me the wrong information and then quoted me $1,300 for consulting services. And I thought, you know what, the hell with this. I'm going to figure it out on my own. And then that's how I got down this wormhole of what a mess international pet travel and compliance is. And going back to the purpose of this podcast and your listenership, I started speaking to multiple vets in my network and also the one I was working with at the time to travel, and found out that not only was this a huge pain point for the pet parent, it's a huge pain point for the vets. And oftentimes, I actually just had a call with one of our veterinary partners in Hong Kong this morning. And the unfortunate thing for vet is if something goes wrong, oftentimes the vets are the ones that are blamed for this as well, and having to take all this time out of their day to navigate the confusing regulations for pet travel. And so it's just a horrible, stressful process all along until Paws Abroad. And so got the dogs to Thailand successfully, which is the happy ending of this story. My brother is my co-founder. He is a software engineer. So our goal, given, my background was on the consumer facing side. And so we launched Paws Abroad with the pet traveler in mind. And our goal was always to basically build that infrastructure layer and provide access to information and accessibility to give pet parents as a starting point help them get over the fear of getting it wrong. So we launched last May with our first product, which was a travel planner that allowed you to enter your pet's information and receive up-to-date import-export regulations, vaccination timelines, everything you need to travel with your pet. And because this is such a pain point in both the veterinary space and the pet traveler space, our launch actually went viral on LinkedIn. We even had the head of security from Westminster Abbey resharing our post. So it was because it's so emotional of a space because pets are family members. And then since then, so we launched with early access, got a really great cohort of users informing us about the product, what their pain points are, and we launched our full stack product in the new year, so this year in 2026. So now we have a really amazing digital Paws port, which we call our pet passports your Paws port, where you can upload all your travel documentation, all of your vaccination records, all of your flight details, everything you would need to travel with your pet. And we give super personalized travel plans. We've also got a flight marketplace with route intelligence. So you enter your pet's information and it gives personalized flight recommendations. And we've got a community view with vetted resources by location, including great vets in the location that you're in. And our big focus for Q2 is continuing to grow our user base, but also continuing to collaborate with these wonderful vets and give vets free access to our veterinary portal that we're rolling out. Because as I think we'll have a big side conversation about this, the compliance and logistics side of pet travel is just as big of a pain point for vets as it is for pet parents.
It's amazing. That's an interesting. I've seen, I think, 3 or 4 companies that now addressing it from different angle, and I'm always was interested is how big is the addressable market? How big is this problem? And is there obviously there's a business to be built, but how? I hear it's painful, but how big is the problem in terms of how many people look for this as the solution?
Yeah, so their pet travel market is actually a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, multi-billion-dollar industry that no one was really doing anything from a technology standpoint. And the thing that there are a few competitors in the space, newer ones that have popped up, as you've seen. But for us, we are really focused on being effectively the Expedia of pet travel. So that central location where all of these different players, whether that be airlines, relocation partners, vets, and pet parents, can plug in. And our main piece is the compliance, like how do we get to point B and know we're getting our pet there safely? But our big goal is to be that trusted source of anything pet travel related, which opens up the market a lot for us as well.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I had a couple of conversations with people that are in your industry, and we've had a couple on the show. It sounds like your approach is slightly different when it comes to go to market. You've got a couple of different travel hubs that you're trying to really help in. Is that you're going to get those stood up and then go to other places next? Is that the plan?
Yeah, in my experience with growing a business in this space, it's always best to really kind of get good at different corridors. And so we're really focused on our platform's live in 14 countries currently, but our big focus areas right now are travel between the US and Canada and the UK and EU, and the UK, EU, and Hong Kong and Thailand.
Okay, fantastic. And what challenges are you running into with getting the business off the ground? Obviously, doing it before makes it easier, but where are the challenges?
So, one of the biggest challenges, which is fascinating because we've been building a really amazing community. And our biggest thing, it's always getting eyes. I would say, just for any business owner, my biggest advice is, an idea is nothing without distribution. But, I was speaking to someone earlier today and they said, I didn't wake up knowing I needed your service, but oh my gosh, pet travel compliance is a huge thing for our clients. So one of the challenges, I would say, we've got actually a proprietary data pipeline, so that's really unique for us. But one of the biggest challenges I would say is allotting for all the edge cases that happen. And that's one of the biggest challenges with pet travels. I'm sure any vet is probably nodding along as they listen to this. If you have just throwing out a random example, okay, so your dog, you've got a Labrador flying from US to France. You're planning to leave June 5th, but oh my gosh, American Airlines has an embargo on a heat embargo on that date. What are you going to do for your move? And so it's things like that we're working on building into our data pipeline. And that also goes back to helping people have different options in terms of their travels based on budget and these edge cases. As I was mentioning before we got on here, we're seeing a big uptick in the private aviation space that people are willing to, if they have the budget for it, to avoid their pet going in cargo, they're willing to pay for a seat on a shared charter. And so we're seeing a lot of pet-friendly and pet-specific flights and shared charters pop up. And we've been building relationships with those. And we actually have a shared charter inventory on our flight marketplace as well.
That's fascinating. I wonder if I'm available for adoption to people that are willing to fly charter their dogs across the Atlantic.
It's your chance to get on a private jet, man. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I could go as a bald Sphinx cat for.
Love that.
But aside from that, this is very interesting. I'm just thinking about the software itself because we're on a podcast. So I'm trying to visualize it because it's a lot of paperwork from what I understand and a lot of, bureaucratic tick the boxes. And what does your product do? How do you systematize, or is it a lot of like a service behind, or is it the full on kind of like, what is it? When I open it, like, what is it?
Yeah. So are you wondering on the consumer facing side or what our vet portal side?
Let's talk about the consumer. So I found you online and I'm thinking I need to go to Thailand with my pet. What does the product look like? Because sounds like you hired consultants before. You're not satisfied and you're building a business around. Is it a consulting business or is it a software as a service or what is it?
So that's a great question. So we're primarily software as a service, but with human touch is the best way to describe it. Because what we found, so at our core, if you go on our website, our DIY travel plan gives you a fully customized pet passport that allows you to upload all of your documentation and it flags for any inconsistencies, all of your travel data, pet records, and then we have our journey guide, which gives you super personalized travel plans based on your pet and route. And same for our flight marketplace. You enter your pet's information and your route, and that pulls in, based on the airline policy, your route and pet data. It pulls in personalized recommendations. So that is all automated. So that is an option for fully DIY because one of the gaps we were trying to solve in the market is people were having to choose between going on 10 different websites with different pieces of information, crowdsourcing in Facebook, or paying X amount for a consultant. And that's our DIY product. And then we've got our map view with vetted resources. So people can do self-serve with our DIY for the routes we cover. But then we found, some people still want that human touch, which is why we do offer, because oftentimes people are like, great, now I know what to do. But if people upgrade to our concierge services, which is, the human intervention side of things, the biggest thing people come to us for and the reason they upgrade is they have a fear of getting things wrong. So even if our DIY travel plan, you have everything that you want, sometimes people will pay and quite a bit just for that extra layer of reassurance and oversight on their trip.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to actually fit this into my thinking sphere. So Global Vet Link, are they a competitor or they would be a complementary service to what you guys do?
So it's so interesting. I've spoken to their CEO, and I actually think they'd be a great partner for us. So we'll see where that goes. Not everyone in the space is a suitable partner, but for us, so just to give context on the vet portal we're rolling out in the next few weeks, it will allow any clinic that's onboarded to be able to plug into our travel plan. So as a clinic, we're not charging the clinic, but then they can say, so they have people coming in for pet travel, we'll give each clinic a discount code for their customers, basically. So this solves our consumer facing side then solves the vet points of, okay, now I know everything I need to know. So this saves the vet having to educate on, or know all of these different travel regulations. And a really cool feature that we're adding in is this is based on vets that we've spoken to, and the need for it is, as I mentioned on the Paws port, the pet travel document, we have people actually upload their documentation. So we are working on having that auto fill out the health certificates, because we know this is a big breakdown in terms of workflow of something going wrong, like a microchip number isn't written correctly or whatnot. So we're creating kind of an easy one-stop trail from the consumer all the way to the vet for international pet travel.
So I want to ask you a question that I keep thinking about every day I talk to startups or building startup. Do you feel that you could be disrupted by what's going on in our AI space and where this whole thing is going?
So I would say, I think some of our competitors, maybe not, I'm not thinking anyone in specific, but here's why I think our brand in particular can't, and what differentiates us. As I mentioned, my two companies have been started out of love for my dogs. And this is an emotional space. And people really love their pets. And I think at the end of the day, especially in this space, you cannot replace like the human feel. So the challenge for us is scalability, which, I actually see that as, for us, AI being an asset because it allows us to scale while still making sure that we have that human feel and oversight. And that's my big specialty as a brand owner, is building, and why we were successful in my first company is really focused on retention and customer experience. And I think not enough brands really focus on that.
That's really cool. Well, we're getting closer to the end, but where can people find you, and what is the website, and how to get the passport?
Yeah, it's pawsabroad.co. I feel like we need to have a partnership actually with Paws Aboard. They're a doggy life jacket company, I believe. Speaking of partnership, so it's pawsabroad.co. And so for 147 for our entry product, we give you your first journey guide, which is your super personalized travel plan. And we give lifetime access to our community features and travel records. So our idea is with that 147, you have a travel home for your pet. And then we just do payments for additional trips, basically, is how our model works. And yes, please, if you are a vet clinic, sign up for early access to be notified. We are launching our vet portal soon. Also, please reach out if there are any pain points you'd like us to solve for you.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you. We wrap up every episode in the same way. So we've got a couple questions for you: a book, a YouTube video, a TED Talk, something that you found inspiring on your journey as a multi-time animal health founder.
Absolutely. So I really love The Forever Dog by Dr. Karen Becker. And, there's different, I was just on a podcast with Dr. David Hayworth, and we were talking about, nutrition. My philosophy is it's not a one size fits all for the dog, and also it's based on budget. But I think we can all agree that, like humans, the more we can incorporate whole foods, the better in some way, shape, or form, or more healthier ingredients. And I love the Forever Dog. My little schnauzer, who inspired my first company, is now 14 and a half, and she's here with me in Lisbon and still doing really well. And then also follow along with the adventures of Harley and Kalinda. Harley and Kalinda go to Thailand. We donate part of the sales to rescues in need.
That's awesome. And the last question that we usually ask: is there another innovator in this industry that you think will be good for this podcast?
Oh my gosh, so many. Who have you not had as a guest that?
Only like two.
Only two. I'm more, what's your audience? You should, you know what? You should get our investor and advisor, who is amazing, David Levy. He sold the largest pet distribution company in the US, and he's been a phenomenal mentor to myself and my brother. And I think he'd be a great guest.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinarynnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.